Welcome to our e-learning workshops. This is the first in a series of workshops, and I hope that you will enjoy this. I realize this may be a little bit different for some of you, and that's okay. We'll try to make this as interesting as possible, so if you'll stay awake and bear with me, then we'll get through this, and hopefully you'll learn a whole lot about our topic today, and for this workshop, which is batterers and working with batterers. Now, if you have any questions for me, you're welcome to email me at any time at bea@elearningfactor.com. Again, that's bea@elearningfactor.com. Now, let me tell you a little bit about myself so that you'll know my background in this topic. I am a licensed clinical social worker and a licensed marriage and family therapist. My whole background is working with families and then with batterers. I've worked with big brothers and big sisters. I've done in-home therapy and in-home therapy supervision for a number of years before all that funding was cut some years ago. And I've worked with military populations. Then I have 11 years of Child Protective Service experience doing all kinds of roles in Child Protective Services in both urban and rural settings. I've been doing work with batterers or domestic violence offenders now for about 10 years. And I work with them also in urban and rural settings. And believe me, they are different, which is interesting. Hopefully we can get into some of that as well. We're going to start off by talking a little bit about what we're going to be doing in this workshop today, or it may be tonight, because the great advantage to this is you can watch it whenever you want to. So what we're going to start with is talking about the terminology that we use. I'm going to assume that if you're taking this workshop that you already have some basic experience and knowledge about domestic violence. And when I say domestic violence, I'm normally referring to violence between intimate partners. Although, depending on what state you're in, regulations differ as to how the laws define those terms. So we're going to talk about that, and I may use some terms interchangeably. We're going to talk about what is it that we know about batterers, what is the history of research on the typology of batterers, and what's the difference between men and women domestic violence offenders. We're going to do an overview of what we call BIPs or BIPs, which are batterer intervention programs. And that is the current language for something that used to be called abuser treatment, or maybe still be called abuser treatment, or even anger management. My pet peeve. So we're also going to be talking about BIP emphasis on accountability and responsibility. And because we do have an accountability not just to victims, to work with these offenders in order to decrease the violence, but also we have a responsibility to the community and to the offenders themselves. One thing that I always keep in mind, I've already told you about my history, so one thing that I always keep in mind is that anybody we work with is only part of another system, and that system is a family. So these folks that we're working with who are identified as batterers or domestic violence offenders are also often still in relationships with women or other men in some cases, and in almost all cases they're also still fathers. And so we want to keep that in mind when we're working with these folks. Another very, very important thing is